A little more analysis on this. I want to bring in Fox News senior strategic analyst Jack Keane. And, General, thank you for your time. I want to ask you specifically in a moment here. Jerry Baker will join us, Martha McCallum, and others. General, from what you hear, from what you remember about urban warfare in Gaza, how deadly, how bloody could this be?
Well, I don't think it's going to be anything different than what we haven't seen in the campaign to this date. The reality is what we're facing here is Prime Minister Netanyahu and his negotiating team, with ours assisting them, try to work a deal with Hamas to get those hostages out, and they made a number of concessions, and Hamas kept rejecting. So where the Prime Minister is, and it remains to be seen where the cabinet comes out on this, I mean, he's at a point of frustration, and he wants to get those hostages freed, and he believes the best way to get them freed is to put more pressure on Hamas militarily. And that has been what the campaign has been all about. I think we're making too much about we're going to fully occupy all of Gaza. Even if that takes place, it would only be temporary, and he said that himself. I mean, the alternative would be leave Gaza, leave the Hamas in control, leave them armed, and then move all the IDF forces out of Gaza completely, and hopefully be able to get the hostages out as a part of that. The Prime Minister, and I would suspect much of his cabinet, does not agree with that. Because to leave them in control and to leave them under arms invites another attack on Israel, and they have suffered through an unprovoked, significant, barbaric attack which led to this entire war. So that's the dividing point here. And the Prime Minister believes, one, he wants to make certain that they're no longer in control, two, that they disarm, number three, that the hostages are indeed released. And number four, someone else is governing Gaza. And then there's a recovery effort. And let's face it, if Hamas stays in control, those who would say just make a deal, get the hostages out, leave Hamas in control and leave them under arms, who is going to give Hamas money to recover Gaza? Certainly the Arabs wouldn't do that. They're throwing it down the drain. They know that. You've got to get a new governing body in there to be able to recover Gaza. We knew it would come down to this at the very beginning, Bill. The reason why Hamas took the hostages, even on a scale of 250, was one, for their own survival, pause in the war so they could recover and rebuild. We've already seen the evidence of that, almost a year and a half plus. And two, at the end of the day, keep enough hostages to guarantee their own survival. That is where we are at. And we knew this would be a crunch point. And yes, certainly the hostages are at risk going forward, just as they have been at risk during the last 18 months plus. That's the reality of what's facing here. And don't pin the rose on Israel for that. Pin the rose on Hamas for that. These are the barbarians that have taken hostages on a scale we have never seen before. So that's kind of where we're at here. We'll see what the cabinet says, and are they unified on this? Certainly there are disagreements about how to approach this. You've probably seen that. That exists in our government as well. I believe that's healthy. This is a democracy, and the Prime Minister emphasized that more than once. But I believe it's likely this campaign will go forward to put more pressure on Hamas to eventually remove them as a governing body and to best attempt possible to disarm them and get the hostages out with that additional pressure. I think that's where we are.
General Keane, if I go back to your initial point about not making too much of the Prime Minister saying that they will take full control of Gaza, here was Bill's follow-up to that statement and his clarification of it. Listen.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life.
To your point, General, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter, he said. We don't want to govern it. What was your reaction to that moment in the interview?
Yeah, the IDF can't sustain occupation of Gaza. They're a small military. In fact, most of their military is in the reserve. They can't do that. What the model that they would use is the one they're using with Hezbollah. They drove Hezbollah back from south of the Litani River. They're no longer there. And they have come back since the ceasefire close to 500 times, and they have attacked them for doing that. And they're back where they should be. That, I think, is what Israel will do. They will stay on the periphery at the border. Someone else is running the country. And if Hamas tries to do something, they're going to attack them. But they don't want to sit there on top of them and run Gaza. That is not sustainable for the IDF at all. And guess what? Hamas would kill them. They would come out of their holes and attrit them gradually over time. And we all know that. So, yeah, I think the Prime Minister did a good job in clearing up this, we're going to occupy Gaza, the implication permanently. No, that's not happening.
Thank you, General. Really appreciate your analysis on that, Sandra.
Hey, it's Will Keane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Keane podcast for full episodes right now.